he was like, oh, I'm very good at stand-up. Everybody, Ryan Clark!
Man, I'm starting to, like, I might be a little hard-headed, but I'm starting to get it, like, after Whitney and Anastasia said, women do have it harder. Like, that can't be, like, I might be uneducated, but is that what going to the gynecologist is like? I don't know. I don't know these things. I'm Ryan Clark, and I haven't heard of me either. So, let's just get to know each other, shall we? Cool. All right, I'll go first. I read that I read this survey that there is a high percentage of people who are born in late September and early October because they were conceived on New Year's Eve. I come from a smaller group of people who was born on New Year's Day because they were conceived at the Long Beach Grand Prix. I know this is true because my father told me when I was 13 in front of all of my friends. He was like, if I just had to sum up my dad into one sentence, and this is true, is he once tried to start a fight with Charles Manson. And it's actually a surprisingly boring story, but if I were to tell it to you, you'd be like, oh, poor Charles Manson. I hope he's okay. My dad is Charles Manson's bully. That's hot. I'll tell my dad. Let's see. So yeah, no, I am a New Year's baby. I have been that my whole life. I just turned 36. And I'm not old. I don't want to say I'm old yet. I don't feel old because the way I just dealt with my squeaky brakes was by turning up the radio really loud. But I am starting to notice some things a little about myself, like the loss of human form. My belly button is something I need to clean now. My bladder has decided to play a more active role in my life. And I don't get music like I used to when I was younger. Like folk music has kind of become a thing. Like there's a folk music revival, right? Right? Yeah. Yeah. yeah, folk music. I love it. Huzzah! But yeah, no, it's folk music. It's this weird thing where I'll listen to it and go, wow, that is simultaneously impressive and boring at the same time. That is some amazing banjo playing, and I want to go to sleep right now. Every Mumford and Sons song just makes me want to stare out of a window and regret something. When I was younger, I was into punk music. Like that was the music of my people. My me, I don't know. You know, I don't know. Like not only that, but I was like, you know, I was serious about it. I was like, you're gonna get into punk, and you sure you want to do this because you might have to get into a fight, and you got arms like a Muppet, you know. And I did. You know, not only did I do that, I started a band, and we sang about like a lot of issues that are going on in the world, and we had a name that wrapped that up nicely. We called ourselves Homesick Abortions. And you know what? If you don't get that name, you weren't part of it. You weren't part of the scene. But not only that, I was so serious about it, I got my band name tattooed to my chest. So if you were to see it, it looks like my chest is being like torn open and then held together by safety pins, because fuck you, Dad, And then underneath it says Homesick Abortions, but like it's underneath the chest a little, so like some of the letters are hidden underneath. So it really just says Homesick Bordio. And now if I'm like swimming around my cousins and stuff, and they go like, "What's Homesick Bordio mean?" I just have to lie to them, and I'm like, "It's Latin for honor." I started dating somebody. I started dating this girl, and when we were talking, she told me like, oh, she likes rough sex. She likes her sex rough. Woo! Yeah, rough sex and folk music. Yeah, no, she said she likes her sex rough. And so I went over to her place one night and we had sex, and it was just so loud and aggressive that the next morning her roommates kicked her out of the apartment. So then she was homeless. Doesn't get much rougher than that. But it's good. Like, you know, we actually continued dating, and I eventually let her inside, and we're now engaged. We're engaged now. Yeah, rough sex, folk music, and engagement. But yeah, I'm so glad that I'm not having to date anymore, because I'll be honest, like, shit was getting weird. You know, like, before I met her, I was like out in Thailand doing hookers and stuff. And I didn't go out there to do hookers. It was just like I went out there to like eat, pray, love. And then, you know, they just come by and they just, you know, pick you up. And, you know, not a lot of times in my life where I felt pretty. So, you know, I just wouldn't do it. And like, it's weird because like I think one of them might have been a guy. And I'm absolutely certain the other one was a guy. You know, and I just thought to myself, oh, maybe I'll just do this and, you know, get some material out of it. And no material, just a lot of shame and a broken butt hymen. But I'm glad you know, don't have to date anymore, because, you know, dating's tough. Dating sucks, especially as a woman, I imagine, because apparently everything we do is horrible. So if women, I've got some quick advice. If you're meeting a new guy and you just want to know what they're like, you know, if you want to know what they're really like, watch them play Grand Theft Auto for a while. Because that game brings out the dark shit in every guy. Like, that game gets shit on a lot because, you know, people just go, oh, you go around killing hookers. It was like, no. There's never been a requirement to kill hookers in any of those games. That is purely optional. It's just a world where hookers exist, and so does free will. And much like the real world, if you get caught doing it, the police will chase you. Like, I'll admit it. I've killed hookers in that game, but it's not for me. There's some guys who just like are Jack the Ripping Off the whole time. You know? Do you know what you could also do in that game? Start a small business. You know? I have a taxi company. It's doing pretty well. You know, you could also do buy and sell stock. I spend a lot of time doing that. Turns out all my inner demons are white collar. You know what I was doing when my friend walked in on me? I was playing tennis with my wife. The only thing I learned from that game is maybe I got to go back to school for economics. All right, that's enough out of me. Let's enjoy the rest of the show.